Close your eyes. I want you to physically close your eyes and let the static of the world around you dissolve. Let the room you are sitting in fade away. Let the identity you wear like a coat, your name, your job, your history, your anxieties slide off your shoulders. Imagine, for a moment, that you are standing at the absolute edge of a vast, motionless ocean. The water is ink black, smooth as glass, reflecting nothing but the infinite void above. There is no sound here. There is no wind to stir the surface. There is no horizon, only the place where the deep dark of the water meets the deep dark of the sky. There is only the silence before the first breath, the silence before the first thought. We are travelers, you and I. We are wanderers standing on the precipice of a mystery that has haunted the human heart since the very first pair of eyes looked up at the night sky and felt a shiver of recognition. Where do we come from? What is this fragile vessel we call a body? What is this restless ghost we call a mind? And perhaps most haunting of all, why are we here? For thousands of years, civilizations have erected great cathedrals of thought to answer these questions. Science draws a line back through the chaos, back to a singularity, a violent, cataclysmic explosion of heat and light where time itself began. Theistic traditions paint a portrait of a divine architect, molding clay in a garden, breathing life into dust. But there is another view, a view that is older, deeper, and perhaps more terrifyingly beautiful. A view that does not look at time as a straight line, an arrow shot from the past into the future, but as a circle, a wheel that turns and turns and turns. A view that suggests we are not strangers to this universe, accidentally spawned on a lonely rock, but that we are the universe itself, waking up. This is the vision of the Dharma. It is not a story of once upon a time. It is a story of always and forever. It is the story of the moon reflecting on the water flows, the water changes, but the reflection remains. Today, we will walk this ancient path. We will not explore the origins of humanity as a dry history lesson. We will explore it as a journey into the deepest, forgotten memory of your own consciousness. Let us begin with the silence, and let us begin with the wound. In the ancient archives of wisdom, there is a story of a wanderer named Aggañña. He was a man much like us, restless, intellectual, burning with a fever to know the truth. He came to the Buddha with his mind sharpened like a blade. He demanded answers. Is the universe eternal? He asked. Is it finite? Does the soul survive the body? Is the cosmos a limited sphere or an infinite plane? The Buddha sat in absolute stillness. He did not offer a complex theory. He did not draw a map. He did not offer a dogma to cling to. Instead, he offered a mirror. He spoke of a man walking through a thick forest who is suddenly struck by a poisoned arrow. The arrow pierces deep. The poison begins to circulate. The man falls to the ground, bleeding, his life force draining into the dust. A doctor arrives immediately, his bag filled with salves and bandages, ready to pull the arrow out and save the man's life. But the wounded man raises a trembling hand and says, "Stop! Do not touch this arrow. Before you remove it, you must answer my questions. Who shot it? Was he a tall man or a short man? Was he a Brahmin or a merchant? What village did he come from? And this bow, what wood is it made of? Is it bamboo or teak? And the string, is it made of hemp or sinew? And the feathers on this arrow, are they from a vulture or a hawk?" The Buddha looked at the seeker and said, softly, that man will die before he knows the answers. This is the first devastating lesson of our origin. The obsession with the beginning is often the greatest distraction from the now. We are all bleeding. We are all struck by the arrow of suffering, of dissatisfaction, of longing. We feel the poison of mortality in our veins. And yet, instead of pulling out the arrow, we debate the geometry of the bow. The Buddhist approach to where we come from is not about satisfying intellectual curiosity. It is about medicine. It is about triage. It is about understanding the wound so that it may finally heal. But to understand the wound, we must understand the battlefield. We must speak of time. In the modern West, we are conditioned to view time as a river flowing from a source to a sea, a beginning and an end, a birth and a death. But in the ancient vision, time is not a river, it is a wheel. And it is a wheel of such terrifying scale that the human mind can barely comprehend it. Close your eyes again and visualize a mountain. Not an ordinary mountain, but a monolith of solid, black granite. A single stone, 6 miles high, 6 miles wide, and 6 miles long. It is harder than diamond, ancient as the void itself. Now, imagine that once every 100 years, not every day, not every year, but once a single century, a celestial being, an angel of soft light, flies past this mountain. As they pass, they graze the rock with a cloth made of the finest, sheerest silk, a whisper of fabric against the stone. How long would it take for that soft silk, brushing once a century, to wear that mountain down to the ground? The mind recoils. The numbers crumble into dust. The mathematics of it dissolves into absurdity. Yet, the ancients said, this unimaginable span of time is but a single kalpa, a single age. And you, the consciousness listening to this right now, have lived through more kalpas than there are grains of sand in the river Ganges. This is the scale of your existence. You are not a creature of 70 or 80 years. You are not a flash in the pan. You are a traveler of infinite winters and infinite springs. There is no start button. There is only the endless turning of the wheel. The universe breathes in, and it breathes out. The ancient texts call this the contraction and expansion of the world systems. It is like the seasons of a great cosmic year. There comes a time, the texts whisper, when the physical universe dissolves. The stars burn out like dying embers. The galaxies drift apart and lose their cohesion. The fire consumes the form. But this is not death. This is merely winter. When the physical world contracts, consciousness does not vanish. It retreats. It moves to a subtler frequency, a realm known as the Abhasara Brahma world, a realm of radiance, a realm of pure mind. Here, in this cosmic winter, beings are not made of flesh and bone. They are not heavy. They are made of light. They do not walk. They float, propelled by intention. They do not eat the fruits of the earth. They feed on joy. They feed on rapture. Take a moment to feel this. Really feel it. Imagine a state of being where you have no weight. No hunger to gnaw at your belly. No pain in your joints. No anxiety in your chest. You are self-luminous, shining from within like a star, drifting in a vast, golden silence. This, the ancients suggest, is our heritage. This is where we come from. We were not always heavy. We were not always bound to the gravity of desire. We were once light. But the seasons must turn. The winter of the cosmos ends. The universe begins to expand again. The dark void begins to fill with the potential for form. And this is where the story of humanity, the true story of our descent, begins. It begins not with a bang, but with a fall. As the new Earth formed, it was nothing like the planet we know today. There were no continents crashing together, no mountains piercing the clouds, no forests teeming with predators. There was only a single, vast mass of liquid shrouded in darkness, and floating above this dark ocean were the beings of light. We were those beings. We hovered over the primordial waters, self-luminous, majestic, sustained by the bliss of our own existence. We needed nothing. We wanted nothing. We were complete. But then, something shifted, a ripple in the stillness, a flicker in the perfection. On the surface of the water, a substance began to form. The texts call it the earthly essence. It was not mud or soil. It was colorful, fragrant, and sweet. It looked like molten butter, like pure honey, like the finest ghee. It floated on the water like the skin on warm milk, shimmering with potential. One of the light beings, driven by a flicker of curiosity, perhaps the very first seed of craving, the first itch of boredom, drifted down. They dipped a finger into this essence. They brought it to their lips. They tasted it. And in that moment, the trap was sprung. The flavor was exquisite. It was intoxicating. It flooded the being with a sensory pleasure they had never known, a heavy, rich, sticky pleasure. The joy of the mind, which is subtle and liberating, was replaced by the pleasure of the tongue, which is gross and binding. The being ate more, and seeing this, other beings just descended from the heights. They too dipped their fingers into the sweet earth. They too feasted. This is the great metaphor of the fall. It is not a punishment from an angry God. It is a consequence of physics, spiritual physics, the gravity of desire. As they ate, a terrifying transformation occurred. The light that shone from their bodies began to dim. The radiance that came from within was extinguished, replaced by the density of the food they consumed. As the inner light faded, the outer world grew dark. And in that terrifying darkness, the sun and the moon appeared for the first time to mark the passing of time, to measure the loss. Their bodies became heavy. They solidified. The subtle ether of their forms hardened into flesh, bone, and skin. We became matter. And with this solidification came diversity. Before, everyone was a being of light, indistinguishable in their glory. Now, some were beautiful and some were ugly. Some were tall and some were short. And with these differences came the first poison of the human heart, conceit. The beautiful looked down upon the ugly. The strong looked down upon the weak. The unity of the light was shattered by the division of the ego. I am better than you, one thought. I am worse than him, another feared. As their bodies coarsened, the earth changed with them. The sweet essence disappeared, consumed by their greed. In its nature, the universe is a mirror. It reflects the consciousness that inhabits it. As the beings became coarser, their food became coarser. Mushroom-like fungi appeared. They ate this, and their bodies grew heavier still. Then the fungi vanished, replaced by creeping plants. Finally, even the plants grew tough, and rice appeared, rice encased in husks, requiring labor, requiring sweat, requiring struggle to harvest. And with the coarsening of the body came the division of gender. Originally, these beings were neither male nor female. They were simply consciousness in form. But as they became rooted in the physical, male and female characteristics emerged. The polarity of existence took hold. Attraction arose. Compassion arose. The eye wandered, and the heart followed. This is not a biological treatise, it is a psychological map. It tells us that our physical existence, our vulnerability, our mortality, is the crystallization of our own desires. We are not victims of the world, we are the architects of it. We built this house of flesh with the bricks of our own craving. As the story unfolds, we see the mirror of our own history, the origins of our suffering. With the emergence of solid food and sexual difference, the concept of me and mine took root. In the days of the light beings, there was no hoarding. There was no storage. You ate what you needed, and the earth provided. But as the heart grew fearful, as the connection to the inner light severed, beings began to worry about the future. They began to store rice for the next day, and then for the week. One being said, "I will keep this plot of rice for myself." Another said, "Then this plot is mine. Keep away." Fences were built. Boundaries were drawn in the soil. And with the first fence came the first crime. Someone, driven by hunger or laziness or simple greed, took rice from a plot that was not theirs. They were caught. They were censured. They lied. They denied it. And so, the four great tragedies of society were born: theft, censure, lying, and violence. The paradise of the mind was lost. The chaos of society had begun. To manage this chaos, the beings gathered together in a great assembly. They realized they could not live in this state of constant conflict. They needed order. They needed a mediator. They chose the wisest, the most capable among them, and they gave him a title, Mahasamata, the Great Elect. "You will be our king," they said. "You will uphold the law. You will punish those who steal and protect those who are just. And in return, we will give you a share of our rice." Here, in this ancient scripture, we find the origin of politics, the origin of kings, the origin of the social contract. It was not given by a god from the heavens. It was created by humans out of necessity to manage the complexities of their own greed. It is a sobering reflection. Our governments, our economies, our laws, they are not monuments to our greatness. They are bandages for our spiritual wounds. They exist because we forgot how to be beings of light. They exist because we forgot how to feed on joy. But the story does not end in darkness. For even as society became complex, even as the fog of ignorance thickened, a counter force emerged. Just as gravity pulls us down, there is a buoyancy that lifts us up. Amidst the chaos of the early world, some beings grew wary of the conflict. They looked at the fences, the hoarding, the violence, and they felt a deep, resonating sadness. They stepped away from the crowd. They went into the forests. They sat at the roots of trees. They sought to reclaim the lost light. These were the first seekers, the first monks, the first mystics. They realized that the way back was not through more accumulation. You cannot eat your way back to the light. You cannot own your way back to peace. They realized that the solid world was a dream, a crystallization of craving, and the only way to wake up was to let go. And this brings us to the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern wonder. When we look at this Buddhist cosmology, this cyclical, expanding and contracting universe, we feel a strange resonance with the discoveries of our own time. Science speaks of the Big Bang, a moment of expansion from a singularity. Buddhism speaks of the expansion of the world system. Science speaks of the Big Crunch, or the heat death of the universe. Buddhism speaks of the contraction and dissolution of the cosmos. Science speaks of evolution, of life moving from simple organisms in the water to complex beings on land. Buddhism speaks of the gradual solidification of form, the adaptation to the environment. But there is a crucial difference. Modern science often views consciousness as an accident, a byproduct of complex matter, a ghost in the machine, a chemical trick. Buddhism flips this upside down. In this view, consciousness is not the accident, it is the driver. Mind comes first, matter follows. The universe does not create life randomly. The universe is the stage upon which karma plays out. The physical world evolves to accommodate the needs, the desires, and the destiny of the consciousness that inhabits it. We are not observers in a dead universe. We are the co-creators of a living one. The galaxies spiral because of the momentum of collective karma. The stars burn to provide the heat for our experience. The multiverse, the 10,000 world systems, exists because the infinite complexity of mind requires an infinite canvas. And here we stand, you and I humans. Where do we fit in this grand, terrifyingly vast machinery? The Buddha offered a metaphor that is perhaps the most beautiful and haunting of all. It is the metaphor of the blind turtle. Imagine the entire earth is covered in water, a single, vast ocean, deep and dark. In this ocean, there lives a blind turtle. This turtle spends its life in the crushing, freezing depths of the deep. It swims in darkness. But once, just once every 100 years, the turtle swims to the surface to take a single breath of air. Now, imagine that floating on this vast ocean is a single yoke ring made of bamboo, drifting aimlessly with the wind and the tides. North, south, east, west it drifts, wherever the current takes it. What are the chances? What are the mathematical odds that when that blind turtle surfaces for its one breath in a century, it will poke its head right through the hole of that drifting yoke? It seems impossible. It is virtually zero. It is a statistical anomaly so rare it shouldn't exist. And yet, the Buddha said, it is rarer still to be born as a human being. Let that sink into your marrow. You are that turtle. You have found the yoke. In the infinite cycles of rebirth, in the endless turning of the wheel, we have been everything. We have been stones sleeping in the river. We have been ghosts hungry for a sensation we cannot feel. We have been gods lost in bliss, forgetting the need to grow. We have been demons lost in fire, consumed by rage. But to be human is to stand at the perfect crossroads. The gods are too distracted by pleasure to seek the truth. Why would they meditate when they can snap their fingers and have paradise? The hell beings are too tormented by pain to see the light they can only scream. But humans, we are in the middle. We have just enough suffering to make us wish for freedom, and just enough intelligence to find the way. We have the pain of the arrow, but we also have the hands to pull it out. We are the only beings in the cosmos capable of waking up. This body you inhabit, this mind that hears these words, it is the rarest vessel in existence. It is a boat that can cross the ocean of samsara. It is a miracle of probability. So, why does the Buddha refuse to answer the question of the absolute beginning? Why does he remain silent when asked who made the bow? Because the beginning doesn't matter. The ending does. The story of human origins in Buddhism is not a story about the past. It is a story about the present. It is a mirror held up to your face right now. The earthly essence is not a mythic substance from a billion years ago. It is the smartphone in your hand that you cannot put down. It is the sugar on your tongue. It is the validation you seek from strangers on the internet. It is anything that pulls you out of your inner light and grounds you in the heavy, sticky gravity of craving. The solidification of the body is happening now. Every time you act out of greed, you become denser. Every time you act out of hatred, you build a fence. Every time you act out of ego, you separate yourself from the whole. You are eating the earth, and the light is dimming. But the reverse is also true, and this is the hope. This is the sunrise. Every moment of mindfulness is a return to the light. Every act of generosity dissolves the fence. Every breath taken in awareness wears down the mountain of the ego, just like the silk cloth wears down the rock. We are not merely the descendants of fallen light beings. We are light beings in the process of remembering who we are. The cycle is turning. The winter has passed. The spring is here. The turtle has found the yolk. The air is filling your lungs. The question is no longer, where did I come from? The question is, where will I go? The arrow is in the wound. The doctor is here. The medicine is the practice of presence. Do not ask about the bow. Pull out the arrow. Look at your hand. Look at the space around you. Listen to the silence beneath the noise. The origin of the universe is not a point in the distant past. The origin is this very moment. You are being born right now. And in this moment, you are free to choose. You can taste the earth and fall back asleep. Or you can feed on joy and learn to fly again. The choice, my friend, has always been yours.